Welcome to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast with Darren Mitchell. If you're a sales leader looking to take your leadership to a whole new level, then this is the podcast for you. We'll be exploring tips, techniques, and strategies to help you take your leadership to the exceptional level and allow you to enjoy more money, more meaning, and better sales results. Welcome back to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast. Darren Mitchell here from Melbourne, Australia, and today I have the absolute privilege of speaking with Loredana Qvist, all the way in current, is it sunny Switzerland? Is it sunny today in Switzerland?
Yes. It's an area where really is not so cold, actually, as people think. Switzerland has many regions and many different. So where I live is quite sunny.
Nice sunny.
Foggy a little bit in the winter.
Bit of foggy. And what sort of temperature are we're experiencing in Switzerland today?
It's like about 19 degrees
Celsius. Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
Where I am right now, it's about 6 degrees Celsius. So very, very cool. No snow, but it's nice and cool. So Loredana, you are the CEO and co-founder of Sales Tools, a sales acceleration tool, but also CEO of Exact Visitor, which I notice is the only company in the B2B market helping organizations identify the exact person who visits their website, which I'm intrigued to delve into in today's conversation. You've got a very interesting entrepreneurial background, so I'd love to delve into that before we talk about specifically Sales Tools. So for the listeners, I'd love to know a little bit about your background and what led you to create Sales Tools and specifically Exact Visitor.
So firstly, thank you for inviting me, Darren. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you again. Let me start with working in B2B and in SaaS, in sales acceleration. I started in 2014, but previous to that, we launched a CRM. And as you know, it was a very competitive market and we sold into enterprise banks all over Europe. We had almost a contract of 20 million in the hands, but then we lost it in front of Microsoft because it was Denmark. It's a country. We started Copenhagen in Denmark, and who knows Denmark? They know it's a Microsoft country. So then we said, okay, let's go global. We can't stay here. So we moved from Copenhagen to Berlin, and Berlin was growing and everybody was moving. We had 15 nationalities in the office. We were growing so much, working on 2 shifts. I was working with the European market, US market. I went to open the office in Scottsdale in Phoenix in the States and Boston. I travel a lot to Dallas and to Austin precisely, and to San Francisco. So I was a lot in the States and Europe. And with the team that I had abroad at that time, we had a team in Eastern Europe that we changed over time. So anyway, a lot of excitement. Like we were a lot in the flight, and most important was that we wanted to identify problems of customers. But where we started with the problem is that selling, it's about data. So connecting to people, and you have to have these data points. How do you connect with people? And what did you buy? Do you buy data from Dun & Bradstreet? Was it ZoomInfo at that time? And for me, LinkedIn was number one source to actually reach out, connect with people. And I love that idea to actually find a way to use it for sales. So we built a system that it could prospect people from LinkedIn and just reach out to them with a personalized message or template at that time. Over time, just fast forward to 2024, we're using AI fully. We're using AI to personalize, to be relevant to the lead, to engage with social selling. So now customers, when they have a list of leads, they can comment on their posts, not just connect with them. So it's a flow that looks natural and helps sales reps be consistent on reaching out daily to new leads. And on the side, we realized, companies have this amazing amount of leads going outbound. So the biggest team typically in a mid-market company, it's maybe 25% of the company, it's the inside sales reps team and SDRs, business development. How could we help these guys generate more? And because they produce so much, they go there and build a brand, talk about the features, what's happening with the product, but they're not converting as much as we know, right? So many leads come to the website and they could not calculate it not many companies do that. Where is the initial point of contact? Was this a marketing lead or a sales qualified lead? Who initiated? And then we built exact visitor just to do that specifically. So now whenever somebody comes to the website, you can see the channel it came. Was it from a paid AdWord? And you can see, map it up back to the CRM. And that allows you to see the steps. Okay, this account was contacted by the sales rep 10 months ago. He came to the website, didn't answer, right? He came to the website 5 months ago, first time, and again came a month ago, 4 times to the website. Now we have more intent. The system qualifies these leads. You don't need to stay and give these leads to your SDRs yet. That's not your process. You want them much more qualified and more, they engage with your website, with your properties. And then basically, yes, they can just get the list, send it to the sales department and say, okay, this ideal customer profile, they look at about this product, and they have this score of qualification because we give them a score. So basically, this is how we started in just sales acceleration. We went to marketing. Yeah, it's a MarTech product. And as well, the Exact Visitor does website personalization. So whenever, let's say you're a company serving mostly SMB, but sometimes you have enterprise, large accounts coming. Every time a large account comes to your website, we take the company visiting and we are going to remove the pricing page, right? The pricing, instead we'll write book a call with us.
Yeah.
So you can interactively do a lot of things based on your website because it's such an important legacy you have.
So one of the things that I was intrigued to understand, because just before you press record, you were talking about this product or this service being available now to, or soon to be available to B2C, business to consumer. So let's talk about specifically the problem that you sought to solve, because you mentioned a number of things there, Zoom Info, you mentioned Dun & Bradstreet. I know back when I was running sales teams, accounts that were looking to create new logos would often purchase the Dun & Bradstreet information to do research on companies. But even then, the data wasn't necessarily 100% accurate. So when you set about creating sales tools and then specifically Exact Visitor, was there a specific problem that you identified in the marketplace that said, you know what, if we solve this, this is going to make a world of difference to B2B sellers?
Thank you. That's a very good question. Really is a good question. So I will start with sales tools. So in the sales acceleration market, there are many products. So there is one, the database. Then you can buy firmographics, right, about the company. Then you can buy intent data from Bambora, for instance, right, or Sixth Sense, or the demand base of the Clearbit, right, visitors. And we keep going, a sequence system, you buy Outreach or SalesLoft, right? So you have all this system incorporated. What happens, and this was the best advice we had a coach on the UI. Because he's seen how much value. He said, try to make your customers click as little as possible so they can see the value. So make it somehow that you don't need to be a sales engineer to use with your product, because it's a very big product. It's not a tool. That's why it's called sales tools, but actually it's like HubSpot. So for us, HubSpot was our mirroring company that we wanted to basically look up to, because they are not very loud. They focus about the customers. You don't see them at big events. They have budgets, but like for their size of company, they are not so loud. And we wanted to fix this instead of buying so many tools and then sales rep in reality not using it, because still there is some glitch sometimes between data providers. And we said, okay, let's build that sales tools, one platform for all, the platform. So it actually was, everybody was saying it was the preferred sales acceleration tool for sales reps. They loved it because they could prospect, they could send it to the CRM, they could personalize and be relevant because of their ICP if they target insurance companies. of course, their playbook and their sequences was about what is the value, be relevant for people in insurance, not the one in healthcare. So they made sure they had the good emails, and keeping that together and have after us where the visitor, right? Because all these people, they were rich, but people don't reply. And they forward emails internally. That's one thing happens to our sales emails.
Yeah.
And who's going to tell you that? So now everybody, when they come to the website, we wanted to track them. And that's why basically we wanted very much we got Exact Visitor going on. But Exact Visitor actually has much more value for companies that don't want marketing department, right? Because companies have giant budgets for paid AdWords.
Yeah.
Of course, they have organic, they have refer partners and so on. So we track where the visitor is coming and how much valuable is that. The CAC is growing every month. It's been growing almost 3 times for some keywords. It's incredible. And now only VC-funded startups can actually pay for those prices, right? To get showed up in Google. And that is making it very challenging for them. So if they don't track a visitor, they lost a customer. So bringing value to the SMB, knowing your visitors is as important as having a good product, right? Because those are potential leads that are going to uplift your business. So knowing the actual person, if you work, you're an SMB and you work with large accounts, but if you work with Oracle of the world, or with you name it, UiPath or any Salesforce, those companies have thousands of employees who visited your website. Maybe you sell to recruiting department, but still you need to know the person. And that's what Exact Visitor gives you, their email and their journey on your website. And that's key. That's gold.
It's interesting as you're talking there, because I know we had a bit of a conversation before we press record around how it's all based on data, but it also has to abide by certain rules, and certainly the rules out of Europe is really important because you need to protect people's privacy. Because you were talking also about the fact that only a certain percentage of visitors that come to a website will take some form of action. Most of the people just have a look and then they'll leave again. What we're talking about here is you can identify those people and then integrate that with an outbound campaign and a connection campaign to build, I guess, connections with your ideal customer, and then start to nurture them through a sequence, through a process. So when you're looking at the information and the data, have you got some examples of companies that have had a small percentage of people who have taken an action, such as filling out a form or booking a call, as compared to being able to get Exact Visitor to identify more numbers to then build the nurturing campaign? Because that would be of huge value, I would have thought, for a lot of organizations that are building outreach campaigns.
Thank you for that question. So we are GDPR compliant. So as we are in Europe, this is very important. And as we don't buy data into data providers, all our data that we actually identify is built up since 2018. So this is really important. And we don't even sell data to other providers either. So that is, again, nobody has our data. As well, customers can choose. So we have customers with minimum seven websites. So they are hardware, big leaders, like top 5 in the world. Yeah. And they have specific websites, properties for Germany.de, for CH, for Switzerland.ch, for Italy.it, and so on, and the .com. And then every website gets their own leads. And now every sales team gets the leads and reach out to them. And that's the way they do it, because we can put the script, it's just a JavaScript that you put it on each website and then track the visitors and personalize. They like to personalize. Yeah, so that is really important. But what happened before they came to Exact Visitors? So these companies, they had, let's say, over 100,000 visitors a month. Even they're not a lot because this is more hardware, so they have a different distribution model. But still the website was important for them. But we're not talking about millions. Like we have customers with millions of website visitors a month, right? Where we track 50,000 leads a month, unique leads that haven't filled the form. They are not in their marketing funnel. They are not existing customers. And they're just new net leads in their buying journey, depends. And those are split in a list of ICP of persona based on their journey, meaning some they just visited the homepage, some the pricing and use case for information technology, or use another list for use case healthcare, right? So then you know exactly how to nurture them after the list of leads, add them to your marketing automation, and just send them information more. Or there is a process we do with sales tools as well, how we start engagement with hyper personalization to present to the data of the people they have today, meaning like they're really what they posted today, not a year ago. So let's go back to exact visitor. From, let's say, 100,000 visitors a month, they were just identifying about 3%. It can go up to 10%. So very good companies can track because they have a good product, and then people are leaving their information so they can fill up forms. Vast majority actually decreased with the time of the pandemic, 2021 and 2021, and then the amount of leads filling up forms, it decreased again depending on your market, if it was needed or not your product, right? So then we start tracking. We had companies we track up to 30% of the website visitors to the person. Okay, those were companies maybe with 40,000 employees, 40,000 visitors a month. For the ones, let's say the one I give an example of 100,000, we were identifying about 11%, right? So as it grows, of course, the number is smaller. And the fun fact is, so from the moment you put the script and you start using exact visitor, you're going to track over time more visitors because that's the way the system works. So you are going to see much more visitors identify over time. So it's building into the product.
I remember many years ago there was a movie, you may have seen it as well, called The Truman Show, where there was a video, a camera following what's his name? Jim Carrey was the actor, and he was in a almost like a reality show where his every move, every conversation was broadcast as part of a TV program, but he didn't know that it was actually happening. I'm looking at this and thinking about this in terms of if I go onto a website and they're using Exact Visitor, the fact that organization can identify me and using it respectfully, obviously, can enhance their ability to then build a relationship, because depending on the type of pages that I looked at, I'll either be an inquirer, maybe looking at just doing some research, or I might be actually in the buying cycle looking for a specific solution to a problem, which means that any outreach can now be more targeted to then start a conversation depending on where I sit. So you also mentioned before that this can be integrated with outreach via LinkedIn, and a lot of the work you do in sales tools also is some automation around LinkedIn. How do you, because I know that from a LinkedIn perspective, you can look at somebody else's LinkedIn profile and hide the fact that you can be identified. How does Exact Visitor identify somebody, or can't they, when you want to remain anonymous? Because I'm trying to think, and I'm not trying to take the devil's advocate here, but I'm thinking there might be some out there that are doing some initial investigation in terms of what services might be available to us to a particular problem, and they want to remain anonymous. Is that possible, or we can still get around it?
I like what you're asked, actually, because it's true and it's okay to, so, but there is a legitimate interest when you check a website, I say in Europe, right? So when people reach out to you and they tell you about, they've seen that there is interest from the company, not from you specifically, because that's not the point. You just try to build rapport to understand the need of the person. But people knowing you, who you are, because they know which website you're reaching for, typically the reply rate is 50-60%.
Okay.
Because people know, and if you are respectful to them and not pitching, and many people rush too much to pitch fast. Don't do that.
That's it.
Take a moment, look at the data, what this person did. Can you qualify it? Can you make sure the person is ready to consume the content you're going to send? Is he available now in his decisions to talk about your product, or is just initiated? That's what data tells you. So we analyze the data, and that's why we give a score to leads, which is more, it's a clear indication that you should reach out, right? If you have a score 9, go get it.
Yeah.
Just reach as fast as possible to that lead. And we had customers, they were reaching out, they had the time 45 minutes to reach out to the people after we send them the signal, because we send them daily.
Yeah.
So we don't send you after a week. These people visited a week ago or in 2 days. We send you today.
Yeah.
And that made, yes, a reply rate over 60%, because it was in 45 minutes compared to send the next day or something. It was very interesting. His analysis, he had a lot of people to look into the inbound leads, and they could see the reply was very, very high, very high. Like reaching out, they were not upset. It's all about how you are reaching out and talking about their interests. Right. So, yeah, to answer your question, of course, you can, yes, don't want to be tracked. Then, firstly, people are tracked because they have a identity, right? You are on LinkedIn, but it's not the same. So we're not tracking people the same way. And many times people said like, oh, do you know where you go on LinkedIn and see who visited my profile? This is exact visitor that for your website. We give you the list who visited your website. In short story, that is exactly what visitor does.
Yeah.
And that is very valuable. And anybody having a business, actually B2B business or B2C, actually you would like to see that. And back to your question when you said, okay, we're tracking B2C and B2B leads in the B2C, because like insurance companies, they have a part where it's for businesses selling their insurance or directly to the consumer. So we track so far just for B2B, but we can do it as well B2C. We just didn't do that. We just identified the people working in companies looking to buy it for their employees, basically.
Yeah, I get it. And what you said through that was really important, because there are a lot of sales organizations and a lot of sales teams that are very quick to go straight into the pitching mode. So just take LinkedIn, for example. It's amazing how many LinkedIn connection requests I receive from people. And in the LinkedIn connection request, they're actually pitching. They're pitching their product or their service. You've got to build a relationship. So the fact that somebody's come to your website, they've shown a level of interest in perhaps what you've got to offer them, but they may be very early in their buying journey, in their buying cycle. So you've got to be really careful then to look at that and say, well, is this a marketing qualified lead that they're just dipping their toe in the water? Or as you said, you rate them in terms of a rating. Are they in a purchasing cycle now where they've started to look at case studies, or they've started to look at pricing? They've actually put a form in and so forth. So you've got to treat that with respect and not jump straight in for the sale and go for the close.
I really like what you said there, because it's important. That's what are 2 different ways of reaching out to these visitors. One, which I like a lot, I mean, I both like, is the one that you're offering the being resourceful, but being for them right now, that just talk about what they need while you're reaching out, right? But as well, building a report. And building the report, we send this lead to sales tools. And there we put it into a campaign multi-channel, which on email and LinkedIn, where it's going to personalize based on their bio and the post. And that's done very well with questions, not congratulations that you've just been on a podcast. No, that's not what it is. And it's not 1,000 characters either. So it's short and sweet to the point. And I actually could say they write better than I am sometimes. So you have the option to have autopilot. So it just sends the system, or you want to check them out. Let's say you have an ICP, a visitor that is enterprise. Maybe you want to double check the message if it's perfect, because you have less chances to have these people reply to you, right?
Yeah.
And as well, the system is going to comment on these people posts if they posted something on LinkedIn, so they can see your message there. This is a fun case. There are almost 1 billion people on LinkedIn, actually about 846. Out of those, around 300 million, not 1,000, 300 million are actually going and active on LinkedIn. But to post, there are only 10% of those posts, and 60% of those posts are reshared, right? When you reshare, number one thing, your ranking in LinkedIn is going to drop.
Yeah.
So if you want to grow in LinkedIn and LinkedIn giving you a better score, you don't reshare content. I learned this the hard way because and you know what? Most of C-levels, directors from big organizations, all they do on LinkedIn, reshare a post from the company. What do you think? They have no score. So that is interesting. And when you comment on those posts, typically they have 2 likes and maybe 1 comment. So eventually somebody writes and comments with the Sales Tools AI, they will see you, and then you connect with them and then sends an email. That looks like this person really wants to reach out to me, right? So, and if it's well written, that's what we really took pride. So many tools about AI, like Jasper and Copy AI and Lavender, and so many, but it's hard. It's just a piece, and it's not working for the customer, right? And even Apollo is a database, and they have an AI, but it's not great. It doesn't go forward the mail and the message good for really doing outbound, and you say, okay, the system can do it. So that's what we are on a mission on, doing that as better every day, because it's not finished. Just this is like we're just starting, I would say, in the AI, what we are capable and what we want to deliver to the customers. So, but again, an initiated lead from visitors is so valuable to the company, but make sure you engage with it the right way. So connect and build rapport before you tell them you visited my website. Don't do that.
Okay, so I just want to highlight that point, right? Because sometimes people might be listening to this right now and thinking, "Oh, we've got a lot of websites, so we've got a website, and we want to be able to better track the people that come to our site, irrespective of whether they fill out a form or not." So they're thinking, "Oh, great, I can get this exact visitor toolkit, and I can identify everybody, so I can just bombard them with marketing paraphernalia." No, that's not what we're saying. It will give you some very rich data in relation to who has visited from what organization, but also what pages they've visited of your website, which can give you information that you can now segment in terms of where is this potential customer likely to be in their buying cycle. Then we take that information and think, okay, what is the best strategy for us to reach out to them to start to build a relationship? Because we know that sales is all about knowing, liking, and trusting. It is not about flogging your product, even though you would like to flog your product to the marketplace. So you've got to think about, how do I best engage with my customer? And as you say, Loredana, how do I best build rapport with this particular customer so that I can build some credibility and earn the right to maybe have a conversation about a solution to a problem that customer hopefully will share with me through building that level of rapport. Is that what we're talking about?
You're great. I can see your experience. It's invaluable. Seriously, it's great what you said, because so let's imagine we give Xactmeter in the hands of 100,000 startups for free. What would happen? Everybody's going to spam these people, these visitors, in a blast campaign. I know you're there. I've seen you. Please buy my product. I know you have the interest, right? Versus a large company that cares about their branding, that been building and is on the stock exchange, right? I have customers that are on the stock exchange. The leads we're bringing in and tracking with exact visitor, it's directly impacting their stock exchange, because actually more sales, and you can see that in the annual reports, is going to show where is coming the source. So we actually can say every quarter how many leads we actually brought to the company from exact visitor.
Yep.
How many were generated by exact visitor, and that how much it impacted the pipeline, the close rate, are those logos, how much it impacted the company with the branding, right? Because once you have a good logo, like, a fun fact, some of our biggest, maybe 50% of our enterprise leads, they came from tracking exact visitor. This is really, really, really the truth. And we were shocked, like, oh my God, how are we going to tackle this enterprise? Like big enterprise, big accounts, hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah, but we had the person was looking, right? So we built it to report. And that made the game go on, right? Build a report. And then they've seen what we're doing as like, guys, we're looking for something because I give attention what they were reading about. I've seen that you're reading and you're about bio. I've seen you work in startups 7 years ago. So you understand us. And you can ask feedback from people. There's so many ways to build a report. So so coming back to a customer from SMB, which I love because they are driven, they're fast, they want to track customers, they want to sell. There's a survival mode, right? Before they actually fundraise their seed, or they are at, they're A round or B round and so on.
Yeah.
It depends how much they have to grow. Again, companies that are fundraising from VCs, they have to grow and give a sometimes 15x from the investment, right? They have to make so much money, and that pushes them to really go there and expose themselves. They don't care about the branding yet. They just want to show revenue.
Yes. Yes. But sometimes in wanting to show revenue, they can do some brand damage, particularly if they go too hard to a marketplace too early and that's where it becomes sometimes spammy.
I like what you said that many they do that too, but somehow now it shifted a lot how buyers are buying. I could see this as a big trend that many sales coaches talk about. You got to be giving a lot away, right? As a company, educate a lot the market, like HubSpot did, right? So we as well give a lot of knowledge, but to the customer, not all the time in public. We build in public. We used to have a roadmap open so everybody could see what was coming. Not any longer, since the shift with AI is the fourth industrial revolution. We can't really divulge everything is going to come because it's a liability for the company. Yeah. So that you have to think about it very much, how different companies are operating with the data. You need to know what is going to damage or not your brand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which brings me to a point around, because you mentioned it earlier, around whether it's a large enterprise or even an SMB, and an SMB may not necessarily have a separate marketing and sales arm, but they might have a combined arm, but certainly there'll be a marketing funnel, or they'll be doing some, market awareness and trying to get those marketing qualified leads. How does Exact Visitor really bridge the gap between marketing and sales so that we've got a much better view of the customer and hopefully a better educated view of how we now go to engage those customers? Because in many organizations and many sales teams and salespeople that I speak to, they're always saying, a marketing team don't give us good leads, right? The marketing qualified leads are rubbish. So
I really love this, what you said. So in the beginning, when we start talking about exact visitor to marketing departments, they didn't like us. Let's just put it this. We were like another startup doing something for marketing. We have demand base. We have Sixth Sense. We buying data from G2. We are getting the Forrester and the Gartner, and we are fine in leads, right? We don't need more. And I heard this so many times. Maybe it was 2 out of 10 calls in the first year when we start talking about exact visitor. The problem is, right, those are a type of inbound lead, but when you realize they don't really qualify as much, don't convert into a pipeline. You got to do a step back and say, which is my biggest property? Okay, I have these partners. I'm paying to Google. I get, inbound from paid ads. I have this budget. It works. And then I have my website, and the website, how can I make my website better so it talks to the buyers from 2024, not the ones 2017? What options they have, these buyers, to look at? How do I tie their needs based on what I offer and where they're coming from, right? Let's say they're SMB, mid-market, and enterprise, or they are integrating based on their integrations. Our customers, they only integrate with Salesforce or with HubSpot, right? If you're a SaaS company.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're in a region just in Manchester and you're not in London. And then you see the visitors converting from Manchester. But if you are a company having trucks, yes, in the region, and you're only in London, in United Kingdom, and you're an American company, right? You cannot yet offers the service to Manchester. So you stop those campaigns, and you can see that as a marketer.
Yeah.
That what exactly visitor gives you. You can see this granular data at the level of your visitor, the campaign, and we became your friend now. We're not anymore another expense. We're just going to give you back more leads at the same CAC, right? The same price, not like the same price, sorry, is lowering your CAC. Sorry, it's lowering, making it maybe half, 50%, because typically we identify 50% more or 100% more leads than what was generating and filling up forms from Google. We got you another, double it. So imagine you can double that at the same budget, because you already pay $100,000 a month, right? But you just generated 100 leads. Now you're going to generate 200 leads.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a no-brainer saying, you want it or you don't want the other 100 leads?
Yeah.
Maybe they just click on page. Do you want it? Because those are in your funnel. They start in 10 now, but if you keep using exact video, you'll see them in 4 months when they're going to consume more data. Now, maybe they came only to the homepage, these leads. So don't disqualify to earlier leads. This is another advice we give. Don't burn the bridges that they only went to the homepage. That in initial phase, they might need it in the next quarter or the next year, and they just start looking. Doesn't mean anything, but you can see back after the data, and you can say, okay, now analyze for this amount, this type of industry, and in this region, we are getting 6 months in average to get to talk to a customer. The life cycle of a sales process it increased or it decreased. Maybe it was 12 months before because we could not identify it. So we just cut it in half, the sales cycle. Now we identify them earlier in the process. So it's how do you look at the data, the visitor? The visitor can be a customer, can be somebody that comes back, an old customer with different decision maker that heard about your product and want to go back and implement it. In the churn phase, customers want to keep 98%. This is very important. 98% retention. And what happens with the leaders that are changing now a lot? And we can see so much change. Like the CEO of UiPath, they put it like the founder, put the CEO, and now is not any longer there. So the main founder of UiPath went back to the seat and be a CEO, right? So changes at C-level happen all the time. Right? And now the new person is coming in and is not even posting on LinkedIn that this company has a new CEO or a new VP of sales, but he comes with the tools from the previous company because that's what he likes. What's happening to you? Are you aware of this risk that you're going to lose that revenue, that ACV that is coming? No. So in order to identify, and you can identify these new leads, new people on the account, and you can map it. It doesn't, maybe it would be like initially, like, why, who is this person? But after, if you dig into the account and find out who is this person, is a new person, this person is not even on LinkedIn. Because it's not yet on LinkedIn. Because he didn't post. People at the C-level post that they join a company after 3-4 months, they want to make sure everything is good and they're settled well in and they're proud to be in that company. It really depends.
Yeah. And then they'll post.
And then they'll post,
yeah. But even with that, as you said before, a lot of them will just repost and not necessarily post themselves, so they won't necessarily get a huge amount of buy-in from the audience. So what we're
Yeah.
saying there is the information that you can get with Exact Visitor becomes really valuable, which almost is an asset for the company. And it does allow the company to segment their customers in terms of where they are in the stage of the buying cycle, which means as a sales leader, I can now, with a sales team, get my sales team to focus on the customers that were showing more of a, I guess, an interest to buy, or at least have conversations, whether that be demos, depending on the type of product that you're selling, rather than just bombard them with marketing material in the hope that they're going to respond to some sort of campaign. So it becomes a lot more targeted.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It's really
Yeah.
important to know the granular data.
Yeah. And so when you look down at the marketing qualified lead versus the sales qualified lead, there's often this big gap, because marketing will say, we've done these fantastic campaigns. We've got a pool of prospects that have come in because they've responded in some way to a campaign we've run. We hand it over to sales and say, hey, sales, there is 5,000 leads that have come in over the last 30 days. Go and close them, right? And then when they don't get closed, marketing is saying, what the hell's wrong with our sales team? Sales is saying, what the hell is wrong with marketing, because none of these were qualified. What we're saying with Exact Visitor is you can actually go through that qualification process. And when you combine it with sales tools, you can start to build some more customized outreach campaigns that are specifically targeted to where that particular customer or prospect is in their buying journey. Is that that's what we're saying?
Yeah, I like what you said there. So if customers, if visitors are early in their process, at their research process, when we reach out to them, we do it softly with sales tools. We put them in the playbook there, and we just building report.
Yeah.
Because when the moment is right, firstly, again, we get a signal if they visited back with Exact Visitor. And then again, you can reach out to them, continue the conversation, whatever was about, what you linked about, because typically you don't work really in so separate worlds. You are, serving that market. So yeah, you just do it relation-based. This is the best, right? But if they are further in their buying process, meaning they really went and read a lot of, blog posts, but then the use cases, right? They check your team, they check the price, and they went back the next day. And people remember, that's one important thing. People are interrupted. We are all interrupted by calls, by emails, by meetings, by personal life. So we might have opened different things in the browser. Like I have maybe 15 things open. 6 are all the time, but other 6 or over 6 are things that I want to look into that, right? So I leave them open and I go back and revisit them. So imagine sometimes we have to be aware and respectful to these leads that are actually just doing their job. They're trying to learn about the market. Give them space. Just don't go and bombard these leads and these potential customers. These are potential customers to your business, and you got to make sure you build the right relation with them.
Yeah.
And this, what you just said, closing the gap between outbound and inbound and sales and marketing, that was the role where Exact Visitor came in, because we could not find this data somewhere else.
Yeah.
So when we look in the market, there is another Exact Visitor. There isn't, because, and there are some other people, but they buy data into different data networks, which we don't. So we have different set of data, and I'm sure they might be okay too, but what we do is really unique. How we identify the data, nobody does it.
Yeah.
So that's most important. Be there for your customer and for a potential customer. Respectfully reach out and build rapport, and that is for me key.
Oh, it is.
Because I want to link another thing. So we have events. Events are back and are fantastic and are great. And everybody comes from, I got 100 leads. Fantastic. What's happened the rest of the year? How can you just say, I still need leads that are coming to me, and I have this, I'm doing a lot of effort outbound if you're doing maybe a podcast, maybe you have different channels, right, on YouTube and so on. But then are you making sure you're converting these channels if they come to your website? that step is so crucial for now. Getting the information, don't let it go. Just read the information, dissect it, see what you can do, qualifying those potential customers. Those potential customers are key for your company's growth. And don't take it personal that is something you don't know about. It's like, oh, this is just tracking some type of people. I'm not very clear. Those are leads. Don't take it as people. And people are like, those are like the inbound leads, but they didn't finish that process. Maybe they will do it in 6 months.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk to them in 6 months once already maybe they POC'd on a competitor? Right? Maybe they don't POC first with you. Did you thought about that? And you can qualify as well if you're a SaaS company at the level of technologies they have installed, category of technologies they have or don't have, right? So we're using Tech Tracker.io, which they're getting a lot of the technographics, and it's really important how qualifying on the technology side. So if they don't use, let's say, HubSpot, and they might use another software for CRM, maybe if you're a product, you're not integrated with that, you cannot even sell to them. So disqualify fast so you can have better pipeline and more accurate pipeline.
Absolutely. I think that is certainly music to chief revenue officers' ears and senior sales executives or sales directors' ears, because they want to have a qualified pipeline. And I know back when I was running sales teams, we were told always make sure that you have 3 times your target as a rolling 90-day pipeline. So what would happen is sales teams and sales executives would almost make up pipelines so they can make the pipeline look better than it actually is. But what we're talking about here is you want to have a qualified pipeline and start to nurture that pipeline, nurture that potential customer base with credibility, so that when they are ready to make a buying decision, you're going to be top of mind because you've actually built a relationship with them over the journey, whether that be 3 months. And if they're in the buying cycle right now, then they'll let you know that. But don't spam them, and build that relationship over time is the key message.
Yes.
So as we sort of wrap this up, Loredana, I was interested in, because you mentioned a few times this thing called artificial intelligence. And really excited about what Exact Visitor can actually do, but also when you integrate that with AI from an outreach perspective, how that can, I guess, speed up the efficiency, but also the ability to interact with multiple prospective customers at once. Because for many years, sales was very much a manual process, either making calls, going to face-to-face meetings, doing manual emails. Just talk to me a little bit about what sales tools actually can do in relation to leveraging AI to be personalized in terms of outreach and the quality that can produce.
So I like this question because AI can be used in many ways. Like yesterday, I went to grocery and I want to make this. I was looking for sulfate-free hair shampoo, and I took the picture, and there were different type of names of this sulfate. I didn't realize. And then ChatGPT told me it has sulfate until I found one, right? It was pharmacy bio-produced, very nice. But I looked over like maybe 5 or 6 cross. So I spent there, I think, on this 40 minutes, 45 minutes. I looked on every shampoo, doing the picture back and forth, right? They were bio products, all of them. Now, when you talk about sales in your B2B, in your work, what the sales tool does right now, it takes away 70% of your work. So it makes you 70% more productive and efficient. Let's break this down, what it is. So firstly, you prospect, right? And getting this prospects really well and targeted and narrow the list. This is very important. So you can do ABM, have the accounts that you want to break into, and then find the persona. Make sure you create 2-3 personas. Like when we work with Marketo, it was our customer in Europe, all the European team work with us. They were prospecting minimum 35 people per account. Because the odds of reply and open and getting back to them was low. And that was many years ago. Imagine now it's even harder. So actually on mid-size accounts over 1,000 employees, or you should prospect a lot. And for SMB low mid market, you still have to triple the amount of people you used to prospect 2 years ago. So just keep that in mind. Try to prospect the persona level. Like if you sell to marketing, there are many people in marketing, demand generation, even business development can be tied to some functions from marketing and get the leads qualified. And so they can put you in contact. So find the right job titles that you should be talking, right? And try to expand on that. Yeah, be aware. Busy people with the CRO of or the chief marketing officer will not have time to talk to you, right? So find somebody under that person, because that's important. The way you prospect is going to be the result and the success of your automation, of your reach out, right? Because the multi-channel, you go do it on LinkedIn, on email, right? So AI is going to do that for you. Get the data, research the data about the company, about the person, put it in short, like squeeze it for you and just get it like in a funnel, just the message out, and you can do it manual or pilot, right? You can do on autopilot and going to just send for your messages every day. Send 50 connection requests. If you use Sales Navigator, you can send more connection requests, but if you use the free LinkedIn, you can send about 100 requests a week, right? So you can reach out to 400 people a month. Yes, so that's really valuable, but you do it automating. You don't spend time to research about this 100 people a week, what they posted. So you use the AI to do that, leverage it inside the automation. You just see it as a step, but actually it does the whole flow for you. And you can decide, okay, I wanted to send 5 emails or 6 emails, right? And those can be some as well built in with some value proposition. At one point after you build the relation and you made them aware that you've seen them, you've seen their posts, then you can say, look, I'm looking feedback to get some feedback on what we're doing. I don't know if this is relevant. If this is to you valuable or somebody in your team, please let me know. Be respectful. And this is 2 ways. You can be very noisy. And if you have some marketing campaigns and you have a very noisy CMO, and you can just bring that in, just bring the noise and say, we've been here talking about it. We talked to these customers about it. We've been to this event and talked about this topic, right? Bring it in your outreach, in your sales outreach, because it can bring a lot of value and a lot of results too, because some people, it's personality. So, and it's again, who is your ICP? Are they growing for a company? They've been growing steadily. It didn't grow in number of employees for the last 10 years. So it's a steady company, or is a startup that's been growing with 300 employees in the last 3 years, right? So try to mimic who is your ICP so you get a better reply, and try to feed in some of whatever you want to say to the potential customer, that you really talk to them, not the other companies that are being growing steady, right? It's a different message. So make sure you actually incorporate a bit of personalization, right? Relevancy, that is hyper personalized, but be relevant to the ICP, right? Ideal customer product company that is matching their stage. And so, and as well, then we were trying to say, okay, will salespeople stay on LinkedIn and comment on everybody posts? If I would have a team and they will stay all day long to just stay on LinkedIn, because that can take hours to check if you have lists of leads saved in Sales Navigator, go under each list and comment, those are hours. We could not afford that. And we talked to leading companies like Adobe, Accenture, Oracle, Capgemini, like big companies, and as well smaller like MongoDB and so on. And there is a mix. You want to automate as much as you want. You cannot anymore say, I don't want to use AI. I need to use AI. It's a new wave of sales. The wave of using AI in sales, it's mandatory. You have to do it. Otherwise, your competition will do it. If it's not now, it will be in a year, and you're going to see the results, because they're going to run with 10 salespeople, and you're going to run with 30 at the same results. Or maybe they
cost a lot more.
Sorry?
And it's going to cost a lot more with 30 because the overhead will be big.
Exactly. So what we've seen in customer trying to get the SDR to do more AE full sales cycle jobs Okay, so we've seen it all. We've seen companies, customers that let go their SDR to just, it was not working. They could not generate. So they let only the full sales cycle team, but that was before they actually implemented sales tools. So it was not because of us, they did it. And then they wanted something so efficient for their inside sales team. They can do more in the same time. And this were, again, smaller, mid-size, 500 employees, stock exchange companies on the stock exchange in US.
Yeah.
And that made them go faster because they need to go faster, but have as a low cost.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
yes, and that is really important.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, and we'll kind of wrap this up now because I know that you've got another appointment to get to. I've spoken to a lot of people around AI, and there's a lot of people in sales that are quite concerned about what AI is going to mean for their roles. But as you were talking about that, then AI is there as an enabler. It can enable us as salespeople to become more efficient if we're prepared to plug into the power that AI creates. And the thing we need to be really conscious of, and you've said this throughout the whole conversation, we still need to have a conversation with a customer or a prospective customer, particularly in the B2B space. There's very rarely will you have business being done where there's no human to human interaction. What AI does and what all the tools that we talked about today does, it actually speeds up the qualification process and it speeds up potentially the sales process. So in many cases, you can get to that face-to-face conversation a lot quicker, but it's going to be a lot more qualified. So what should happen is you should have better quality deals coming in, better quality customers, and hopefully better quality relationships, which is profitable for both the customer, but also for you as the seller. Excuse me. So that's the key message, I think. Anything else to add? And before we wrap up, also we've got to ask, where is the best place for people to get access to you, to connect with you, but also to learn more about Exact Visitor and Sales Tools?
So
before we
they
do
can
that,
find
is
you.
there a last one piece of wisdom that you'd like to share before we talk about where to connect with you?
Thank you for that. So they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. They can just DM me. They can comment to anything I post sometimes value. I'm trying to post every week on consistency to share some of the things we're looking at. They can reach us out to exactvisitor.com or salestools.io. These are the two websites that we run. And one thing that I want to share, and this is because I get to talk to a lot of people in sales and marketing. And I know it's hard to align this to the department. No, I mean, they're doing a fantastic work. Like I could see a big shift out of the pandemic, but just try to find the tools that are lifting more of your manpower, or because the same people that right now are in their jobs, they could do more things that are impacting the customer. And don't take this for granted. We've seen this from really loud enterprise companies are winning.
Yeah.
For first time, I thought they were like sleeping giants. But now the enterprise and the mid-sized company, because they have more revenue, they can test things, they can do things, they can pay the best tools. It doesn't matter. They just can conquer. And that's why they're going to grow. And you'll see a lot of acquisition in the market. You'll see from the point of view of startups, you'll see a lot of competition happening because of AI. So just go there, try the tool and keep it. Stay with it. Not every tool in AI free is going to change everything from you. I need to say that. It's really important. There's a lot of noise. So make sure it's a product that you learn it and take the time to understand what the AI does for you, because it's many founders right now like get all these lists with tools, implement this and this. Don't look into that. Just take one at a time. What is your problem? Write it down. Can you find a solution for your problem? Okay, is that that you are getting too a high CAC? You're getting too little inbound. If it's for Exact Visitor, right? Is it, and are you having too much overhead? So on marketing, just try. If that's your problem, then look for something that it gets you more intent, but good, clean data. And if you need help with sales, try to find a product it can do a little bit more for you Because if you put your salespeople, and depends, I work with people that been out of Salesforce. I've been working with people, super veterans in sales, closing at least 15 million a year. I had experience, really, I've been talking with, and they said to me, we don't want to use a lot of tools. We are relation-based sales, but still they have to build pipeline because the leaders they knew before, they changed. They retire. So now they're facing still for the next 10 years, they have to start all over, see who are the new companies, and they have to use automation because they can't stay and do everything manual relation based. It's not anymore just going to events. So you have to reinvent yourself, go on the wave of sales AI this 2024. Make sure you implement it one way or another. Just is going to benefit your company and your teams, make your life easier actually.
Absolutely.
Essentially.
Absolutely. So the key message is embrace AI because it's because if we don't, we'll be left behind.
Yes, people will evolve. If you look at industries and third industrial revolution, AI is on the fourth industrial revolution, and it's because it's making people change to understand they need new skills to develop, right? So, and the human interaction we cannot. Talking to a person, that is not going to change.
No,
Meeting a customer in person is not going to change. Being very good at going over objection in a face-to-face conversation, do you think it's going to change?
not going to change.
Right. So knowing your product.
There might be less objections because we're better educated and we've built a better relationship because we know the customer better and we should know the problem better because we've qualified them better.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point.
Awesome.
Yes, that's a good point.
So, Loredana, greatly appreciate you coming on to the podcast. So I'll put the information on the show notes where people can get access to you. And if people want to explore Exact Visitor, what's the best way? Is it to go to the exactvisitor.com or they reach out to you directly? How does that work?
They can just start a free trial and reach out back to the team. Please tell them that you've been on Darren Mitchell podcast. They can get as well 5,000 credits, which is $5,000 value of free credits that can be used by customer. Maybe they have a lot of visitors. You can use it in a month. Some they will use it in a year. So you can use Exact Visitor for free. You can play around as well, use the website personalization. So go test it out and just DM the team directly from the system. You can send a message back. You will receive a lot of emails for onboardings. And then you can just let us know and you get the credit on.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you. So for those listening, if you'd like to stress test Exact Visitor, just mention you've listened to Loredana on the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast and you'll qualify for a $5,000 credit, which equates to, I think you were saying before, about 5,000 leads.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, so, 5,000 Exact Visitor traffic.
Fantastic.
And as well, if you want to test out sales tools, salestools.io, you can get a 35% discount on your purchase because you have a free trial. And after, if you want to test it out, you get a 35%. So just please DM the team, Darren Mitchell, and then you can just get to see the sense of AI we're using.
Sensational.
And do some cool things.
Absolutely.
And engage with more customers, build some report.
Awesome. Thank you, Loredana. That's a very generous offer and greatly appreciate it. So I know you've got to get to another appointment now because it is nearly on the hour. So greatly appreciate being a guest and it's been a wonderful conversation. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast. I trust the information in this episode has been helpful in your journey towards becoming exceptional. And remember, please take the time to rate the show, subscribe to the show so other people can find it. But also, if I can help you, jump on my calendar, go to leadwithdarren.com and let's have a conversation about how I can help you along your journey to being exceptional.